Should I read?
Not as yet. Um, so objective 7, that is intellectual property, patents, copyrights. Right. So we'll be learning about what are they, how do we make use of them, basically what are the types, and so on. So the first question we can ask ourselves is that we're learning about digital media. So we're learning how to create videos, pictures, audio, websites, applications, and so on. But when we would have finished creating this product or this service, what do we not want persons to do with it? What are some things we don't want persons to do with it?
To take it and use it as their own?
Right. And that's the biggest thing, the biggest issue. Persons to take what we would have created and use it as their own. So maybe we might develop an application and somebody else takes it and goes and sell that particular application. So this objective is about basically methods of protecting your product, your service that you would have developed. Now, there are different methods of protection because not all creative works, not all digital media can be protected the same way. That's why we have different methods of protection. So we're going to see that we have different forms of protection. Now, for instance, we have what is called intellectual property. Do you know what that is?
It sounds fancy.
Oh, that's all you know.
Yeah, like bright, like intellectual, bright. Yeah, bright stuff.
All right, so intellectual property. So I'm going to be pulling a lot of definitions from the internet. Why is that like that? Oh, because wondering where the scroll bar was. Yeah, so intellectual property, also called IP, refers to creation of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic works, design and symbols, names and images used in commerce. So now basically that is the creation. These are just list of creations. That's not the full definition. That is not actually doo, 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 doo. Okay, good. So this can help us. So the intellectual property is basically referring to creations of the mind, such as what persons are going to create. They're going to make inventions, any literary work, any design, creating the name of a product, an image, and so on. Now, how are they protected? Now, intellectual property, they're protected using various methods. For example, inventions, they are protected using patents. A design is protected using industrial design. A brand name is protected using trademark. Or literary music or artistic work is going to be protected by copyrights. Do you know of any of those?
I think so.
Did you cover it in IT?
I don't know. Can't remember. But and then music does get copyrighted, so that's like a
Good. So,
artistic work.
so you would have heard about copyright. All right. So we can first look at patents. Um, give me a second. Let me find the rest. All right. So we're gonna look at patents, copyright, trademark, trade secrets. What else? All right, as we come across the rest, we'll add them. So, firstly, what is a patent? Have you ever heard of a patent? I'm pretty sure you've heard of a patent.
Maybe.
If you've watched movies, you would have heard of the word patent. Is it 1.5? Do I use 1.5? What do the old documents have? Alright, so you can read what is patent in the meantime.
In the book?
The book doesn't have anything. Aren't you seeing the screen?
I was wondering. Anyways, a patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention, which is a product or a process that provides, in a general, a new way of doing something or offers a new technical solution to a problem. To get a patent, technical information about the invention must be disclosed to the public in a patent application.
Good. So, any idea? Does it ring any bells? Ever heard of the term you patent something? A company is patenting something. Somebody's patenting.
Yeah,
So,
I think so. Yeah,
alright, so
I get the
basically,
idea.
when somebody is designing something, they don't want persons to basically copy that same design. So, like for instance, the Nintendo Switch, the way that they design their console, they don't want persons to design a console in that manner. So, what they would do, they would patent their design in that it gives them exclusive rights for that invention, which is a product or a process to provide general new way of being blah 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 blah. Yeah, so basically it gives them right to this design, to this invention. Um, there's a whole lot of rules of do's and don'ts as to what a person has to go through in order to be able to get a patent. So basically, some of the things include they would have to create all the schematics, create all of the designs of this product that they want to patent, create all of the rough designs, the schematics, the wireframes, everything that they would need for persons to know all of the fine details. They might have to build a prototype of it. They would have to share it with the public, and that's how the public is going to know that it belongs to this company or whatever. Like for instance, I think the other day, like if you were to search Samsung patents, So Samsung's a new crown holder with a massive 6,248 patents. So even the folding phone, they would patent the design as to how they would build that folding phone so that they don't want the competition to build it in the same way.
Also, like if like we say Apple was to build a full phone, they can't build it exactly like
Right.
Samsung. Okay.
So like this here, they would build the schematics, show the schematic as to how it's going to be laid out, like how the hinge is going to move, the various parts of it, and so on. They have to draw all of that detail, sketch all of that detail, get the schematics of it, share it with this body that's going to enforce the patent, and they're going to get exclusive rights to it. Now, it doesn't last for long. They only get the rights to it for, they only get its protection. Sometimes what they usually patent for is that if they're not like sure they're gonna make this product in the next couple of years, they could patent it in that they would get protection from other persons copying their design. So before they bring it out, nobody else can bring out this particular product with this design. So they would normally get some amount of years before this patent would basically expire so that they can get some time basically to develop this technology and that others can't copy it. So that's the purpose of patents. Now, what is a copyright? Shucks. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Alright, I'm not sure what happened, but I was trying to close one tab and it ended up closing the entire browser. Um, yeah, so we're looking at copyright now. Uh, do, 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 do. Alright, so copyright is a type of intellectual property that protects original works of authorship as soon as an author fixes the work for in a tangible form of expression. In copyright law, there are lots of different types of work, including painting, photograph, illustration, music composition, song recording, computer program, books, poems, blog posts, movies, architectural work, plays, and so much more. So remember I said we have different types of protection to protect the various types of media or the different types of creative works that we're going to have. So the patents are going to be for schematics or ideas for invention, but the copyright is when you're finished with that invention, when you're finished with that product, you can copyright the design. You can say this design belongs to you and nobody else can use it. This product here belongs to you, and nobody else is allowed to use it. So, like how you can take a photo, you can take a song recording, you can record a video, and nobody is allowed to use it without your permission. Any questions?
No.
All right, so what is a trademark? All right, so a trademark can be any word, phrase, symbol, design, or a combination of these things that identify your goods or services. It's how customers recognize you in the marketplace and distinguish you from your competitors. The word trademark can refer to both trademarks and service marks. So the question is, can you copyright a name? What do you say? Can you copyright a word?
Yes and no, depending on what the word is. So it's like a common word, then no. If it's like a not really rare but a unique word, then I guess.
Okay. So note that copyright does not protect names. I just what? Copyright does not protect names, titles, slogans, or short phrases. In some cases, these things may be protected as trademarks. So that's why we're looking at these different types of protection. Copyright um, only protects tangible things that you create, tangible products and services that you create. Whereas words, slogans, and so on, those technically cannot be copyrighted. You can't say you own a word, you can't say you own a name. But the purpose of the trademark now, it's to basically say that how it's not really to say that you have ownership, but it's to give you like rights towards this particular word, this particular slogan. So it's a bit technical. Not sure if you're quite getting it, but it's not to show you not to show that you own it, but in a way it's basically giving you ownership in that you have the sole rights to basically use this name, and then maybe if anyone wants to use this name, they would have to basically offer you royalty or things like that.
Oh,
So basically, the trademark is only for words, phrase, symbols, and so on. Now, a trade secrets, well, that should be obvious, right?
maybe it's a secret in trade.
So, trade secret is basically like if a company has any confidential information, and like for instance, KFC and their 7 herbs and spices, they have the right to protect that. The way how Coke is made, the way how Pepsi is made, um, the way how certain things are made, that's going to be a trade secret. Like how maybe the way how Samsung does make their displays bend, the technology they would use, that would be a trade secret. So confidential information, it is going to be protected under trade secrets. Good. Are we following so far?
Yep.
All right. So, all All right, so we looked at what is intellectual property. We looked at what is patents, copyright. What else? So penalties. Now, what do you think would happen if you infringe one of these laws? Intellectual property, patents, copyrights. What do you think would happen to that person?
Um, you just some cases you may get like a warning, like YouTube when you have copyrighted music, they may give you a warning at first, or they may even take down the video. So yeah, I can't put it into words, but there are consequences to it.
And so the consequences would only be limited to warning.
No, like they may, depending on what it is and how serious it is. I think they may give you a warning, and then if you fail to, like, remove that or take back whatever you posted or whatever you did, and you do it again, they may actually like revoke your access to certain things, like maybe the platform itself.
And the question is, once again, do you think it would get more serious than that?
Yeah,
Like, how much more serious?
you could get sued.
Good, so you can get sued. Anything else?
I don't know anything like more serious
Just-
than suing. So,
Do you think you can be imprisoned?
oh yeah, if that is worse than being sued, yes.
It's not.
I don't know. I don't do criminal stuff to know these things.
So, but can you not reason it on your own accord that if you were to be fined or imprisoned, which would be worse?
Honestly,
Before being fined or going to prison?
I don't really know, Depends on what I'm going to prison for. I know I took that out of context, but yeah.
Okay. So, depending on the nature of the violation, penalties may include civil damages in the dollar amount of damages and lost profits. So, like if anything was lost or if you made the person lose any amount of money, you may be forced to pay back how much you would have caused in damages. So, like if you took a person's software and you start selling it as your own, then obviously you made that person lose profit. So you would have to pay back that. An injunction to stop the infringement, payment of attorney fees by the infringer, felony charges with imprisoned times. Imprisoned time. Yeah, so it can range depending on the, as you said, it can range depending upon the severity of the violation, but it's usually paying back of the money, a fine, imprisonment, and so on. All right, so the next question is how to copyrights a product or patents a product? Any idea?
Not sure.
So it's gonna vary depending upon the country, depending upon the product, and things like that. But basically, in a nutshell, you would go to the authorization body. So who do you think is responsible for copyrighting something? Who would you say? Who do you think is responsible for that? Enforcing the copyright, I can say also.
The government?
Right, that is correct. The government is responsible for copywriting because obviously, would you say copyright is a law?
In one way, yes.
Yeah, it is a law. So basically, we need a body that can enforce laws, and obviously, that is our government. So basically, you got to figure out which part of which authorization body in your country is going to be responsible for enforcing these laws, these copyright laws, and so on, these patent laws, and so on. And you basically go to them and you tell them you want to copyright something or patent something, and they would tell you basically what are the requirements they would need in order to do that. So in most cases, they would need for you to fill up a form, pay a fee. It might be a yearly fee and so on, registration fee. Um, they might ask you to submit the product, submit the designs of the product, all the information about the product and so on, so that they can basically authorize that protection, among other things. But basically, you have to go to some authorization body, some government based institution, so that they can handle that process. All right, so any questions so far?
No, sir.
Are you following so far? All
Yep.
right, so next we're going to look at digital rights management versus royalty free. Any idea what any of these mean?
I'm not sure, but I've heard of royalty free music. Um, yeah, I tried. How should put this? There's a website where you can get royalty free music, but I didn't like them.
All right. All right, so first we're going to look at digital rights management. So digital rights management comprises a number of approaches to protect copyrighted digital media, in addition to additional copyright law. Through the use of technology, DRM limits access to copyright works to prevent illegal copying, modification, and distribution of those works. It allows publishers and content creators to keep control over what paying users can do with their materials. So basically, in a nutshell, DRM is a set of technology that you can put in place to enforce the copyright, to ensure that persons are using your product as they're supposed to. That when they pay for it, they're using it correctly. They're not just buying it and then sharing it with other persons and things like that. So various technologies to enforce the copyright. Now, royalty free. The first question we can ask ourselves is, what is royalty? Now, royalty is basically something that you pay to somebody for using something for that person. So like if you're going to use a person's music or use a person's technology, obviously it's going to be copyrighted. It might be protected by copyright law, digital rights management laws, and so on. But the person might allow you to use it, but what you would have to do every time you use it, you would have to pay that person what is called royalties. So every time you use it, you would pay that person. Like for instance, let me give you an example. Apple has the lightning port. You know that, right?
The what?
The lightning ports, the charging port for the iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this cable here, this is Apple's proprietary charging standard. So we use USB Type-C and Micro B, while Apple uses Lightning. Now, Apple actually has this copyrighted. You can't just go and make a cable like this here. They have this technology, this design protected under copyright law. But if you want to use it, they allow you to use it. But you would have to pay the company royalty. So all of those cables that you see that has lightning cable, that's going to charge the iPhone, the company that would have made that cable, for every cable they would be making, they have to pay Apple royalty. Every single cable, they have to pay a certain amount in royalty to that company. So that's an example there. So if, for instance, also for music, if you want to use a certain music file, a certain song, and so on, every time you use that song, every time you use that picture, you would have to pay that person royalty. So this is where royalty-free comes into play. Royalty-free materials subject to copyright or other intellectual property rights may be used without the need to pay royalty or license fee for each use or each copy or volume sold, and some time periods of use or sale. So basically royalty free means that you don't have to pay the company or the owner of this, whatever you're using, you don't have to pay them any royalty. It's free for you to use, but still under the copyright law. Think you understand?
Yeah, makes sense.
Good. Any questions?
No.
All right, so terms and user agreements, as we're going to look at next. So what would you say is the terms and user agreements?
It's like things that the people then want you to do, or like say okay, like usually when you download an application, it works the same way. They would give you that, and they would tell you, oh, this is gonna happen, or this is how it's being used, and you need to agree to that before you continue using that
Right.
application.
That's basically how the creator the developer wants you to use the product. So, terms of service are legal agreements between a service provider and a person who wants to use that service. The person must agree to abide by the terms of service in order to use the offered service. Terms of service can also be merely a disclaimer, especially regarding the use of websites. So basically, how the person wants you to use the product. So, for instance, that is why a lot of persons always argue that, for instance, they buy a piece of technology and they wonder why, when I buy this piece of technology, they always claim it's not their own. That I buy it, I should be able to do what I want with it. But this is where the terms of agreement come into play. That the developer, they're selling you this product, but they want you to use it in a particular way. They want you to only do certain things with this product. That is the terms and agreement. So, for example, with a phone, like Apple, their terms and agreement is that you should not repair it on your own. You're not allowed to change this, you're not allowed to change that, you're not allowed to do this, and so on. And then persons argue that why am I buying a phone? And then it's like if I don't own the phone. But it all goes back to the term and agreement that this person, this developer, that is the rule that they're setting basically. That's the terms that they're setting for you to comply if you want to use this product or service. Clear?
Right, yes, makes sense because,
But do you think that is necessary? Should the company stipulate how a person is using their product? Is that right?
in a way, yes, in a way, no. Because if it's like, I can't think of an example, but like if, let's say, this product, you don't want them to be using it in an illegal way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you give them these terms, say, hey, you gotta use it this way, you gotta not use it illegally or to cause trouble. So that's why that's there. But at the same time, it's kind of a controversy.
Right. So you're correct about the first one that they don't want them to use it in a wrong way, any illegal way, and so on. So they will stipulate what they cannot do with it. But at the same time, sometimes they get too overly restrictive with it. They get too overly restrictive with the terms and agreement, and that the person can't do what they should be allowed to do. That it's their phone, it's their technology. Why aren't they allowed to fix it? Especially that fixing one's own device. That is a major controversy today. All right, so
But wait, so
mhm,
like if you're not fixing it, who could fix it?
the company itself. So that's the issue. They set out the agreements that you should not repair it, but they want to be able to repair it. The company itself.
Money.
Right, exactly. So that's the issue, money. So they want um, the customers to come back to them to fix the device, and that way they create another source of income. That's what Apple does. Whenever the screen damages, you gotta go back to them. Whenever the battery gotta change, you gotta go back to them. Everything that damaged, you gotta send it back to Apple. If,
Oh wow,
if they take it to anywhere else, they void the warranty.
that's tough.
Yes, it is. But recently, they've been fighting. Some governments have been fighting for the right to repair. They call it the Right to Repair Act, and to let persons repair their devices on their own. Because when Apple has charged a lot of money for just changing the display, just the glass alone, it takes like hundreds of US dollars just to change the glass alone. And we know how easy that glass is to break. It takes like 400, 500, 600 just to change the glass.
That is very expensive.
It is. Alright, so we define the terms IP, patent, and copyright. We looked at what copyright and patent protects. We clear what they protect, right? 'Cause that's important. What does a patent protect? What does a copyright protect?
Patent is for inventions and ideas, things that have come out, and copyright is for creative and literary works, and something that's protecting you. I forget. Trademarks. Trademarks.
Tangible works. So copyright is tangible
Tangible.
works.
Yeah.
Um, Research, we looked at the penalties, fines, imprisonment, paying back, and things like that. We looked at how do you apply. You go to the authorization body and you give them the necessary information. So, under what circumstances can you use the copyrighted work?
What do you mean? Like,
Somebody copyrighted their music. How can you use that person's music?
wouldn't you have to like credit them?
But is that enough? Even if you credit somebody, you can still be in violation because maybe the person doesn't want you to use their work at all. All right, so one way to make sure your intended use of copyrighted work is lawful is to obtain permission or a license from the copyright owner. So basically, you need to contact the person and get permission from the person. You can't just go and credit the person just like that. That won't work because some persons, even though you go and credit them, they still give you a copyright strike that you use it without their permission. You need to get their permission first with before you can actually use their product or service.
So that goes for the same thing, like let's say people music, like YouTubers, they would have to go through all of that to use somebody's music.
Right. You have to get permission. Sometimes when you do get away with it, it's because the person doesn't see the need in giving you the copyright strike. But it got persons that don't even care. They just don't want you to use it at all. All right, so that's it for objective 7. Do, do, do. Um, do, 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 do. Let's see. So, any questions on 7 before we move on to 8?
No, I don't think so.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. All right, so objective 8, we are looking at the ethical issues relating to digital media. Any idea what that title means?
In a way, yeah, like you know how to use these things, how you go about using these things, right way of using ethics, work ethics and so on,
Right.
pertaining to digital media.
So the rights and the wrongs, the do's and the don'ts. So our first term, cybercrime. You can start off the reading of that.
Cybercrime, also referred to as computer crime. This is any illegal activity or crime that involves the use of a computer, any related devices of computing, and a computer or data network connection, or facilities that involve the internet or any internet based resources/slash facilities. Cybercrime is a nuisance that many organizations are faced to deal with in this digital economy that businesses now operate, and people must do business on the internet or from their smart devices of data communication.
Good. So we should know what is cybercrime, right? Do we?
Yes.
So that's basically any form of crime that is committed using what and what. Two things.
Uh, Connection, network connection, and a device.
Good. So it's any form of criminal activity that is done using a device, more so a computer, and over some form of network connection. And persons who commit cybercrime, what are they doing? What are they trying to do? What is their goal?
Wait, please repeat.
What is the goal of cybercrime? Why are they committing these acts?
One of them is for get money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't think of any then why you would go and commit cybercrime. Just like money, maybe.
I was actually watching a video last night, and the video was entitled "What Happened to Computer Viruses." Because you ever thought about it that we don't really see computer viruses that much anymore?
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah. So that's basically because in the beginning, when persons who created viruses, it was either to show off that they could create this virus, and they would attack any person. They would attack the entire world basically, and that's how everybody would get infected. But today, persons mostly target companies and institutions, or even individual, mostly for their data. It's the end goal, yes, is money, but the reason for their to get them how they're getting this money is by getting data. So they're trying to get data from the company, trying to get data from the institution, or from the person to maybe commit identity theft, um, to get the person or the company's data so that they can, what do you call it? Ransom it, basically. Use it against them and say that if they don't pay them a certain amount, they would release it to the public. Or not only that, they would sell it to persons who actually want the data, who would be willing to pay for the data. So you could say it's a big business today, cybercrime, that they're trying to take your data in order to share it with other persons. So that's the ethical issue that we have there with digital media, that persons aren't using it for the benefit of the world, but rather they're using it to destroy companies, destroy countries, because that's another use of cybercrime, to destroy countries. Um, they try to hack into other countries to take their information, um, cause conflict in the country, and things like that.
So, like evil people.
We could say so. Yes, we can call them evil. But do they consider themselves evil?
Now, that is the question.
Plagiarism. So another ethical issue. Pretty sure you know what is plagiarism, right?
Yeah.
So something you always do every day.
No.
So plagiarism is presenting someone else's work or idea as your own, with or without their consent, by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. All published and unpublished material, whether in manuscript, printed, or electronic form, is covered under this definition. So basically, taking somebody's work, using it as your own. So we know how easy it is to plagiarize today. That you could simply, if you have an assignment, if you have some sort of homework, you simply go on the internet, you Google it, and you copy and paste, and you're done. So you take somebody else's work and you present it as your own. So it's very easy for persons to do that. Should that be allowed though? What is wrong with that? Is there anything wrong with that?
Like, yeah, in a way, because like looking at it, right? Like if I had to do years of research on this one subject or issue or topic or whatever, right? And it took me so much and I had to come to conclusions and so on. I ain't want nobody just go and copy me work and put it as they want to say, oh, that's me work. No, that's wrong. But as a student, where I getting the information from, right? So yeah.
So students should be allowed to use it.
Yeah, you can say that.
Well, technically you are allowed, but does that you can't use back word for word, and that's what plagiarism is. When you use back word for word, but this is where crediting the person comes into play. So here, you're allowed to credit a person without asking them to use their work. So this is where universities and school would tell you that if you're going to use somebody's work, you reference it. This is why you would reference a person's work to avoid plagiarism. You say clearly that you got this piece of information from this person, and if you quote the person, you have to obviously put it in quotation mark, but you could put it in your own words. You can read the person's information, put it in your own words, rephrase it in a certain way, and that way you also avoid plagiarism. So that's why we have tools like paraphraser tools. Because the paraphraser tool, you ever wonder why paraphraser tools work? Do you know why they work?
What do you mean, like why they work?
Why do you take somebody's work and which if you use it word for word you get plagiarized, but if you put it in a paraphraser, the same paragraph you put it in a paraphraser and you take that output and run it through a plagiarism checker, it has no plagiarism towards it. Why is that?
Because it's different in a sense. It's paraphrased. It's
Right,
not word for word.
exactly. So that's the ethical issue there, that if you're going to use somebody's work, you cannot use it word for word. Basically, you put it in your own words, and that's where paraphrase the tools came about, so that it can help us to put basically information in a different manner. Well, technically, it won't be in our own words because it's the paraphraser's words now. But should paraphraser tools be allowed?
Why not? To make our lives easier.
Do we need to have our lives easier?
Yes.
Okay, if you say so. All right, so that's another ethical issue there. So another ethical issue is downloading software. Um, should we be allowed to download software for free? So we know that a lot of software that you have to pay for, like Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, um, Microsoft Office, Windows, and so on, you have to pay for them. But should persons be allowed to go on torrenting sites, like for example movies and so on? Should they be allowed to go on torrenting sites and just stream these things for free, download them for free?
Yes and no. Yes, because professionally speaking, yeah, you gotta pay for the stuff, man. It can't be cheap, right? The people that put all the work and all the sweat into it, so pay for the thing. You see now, broke people like me, we cannot afford that. Even if I can afford it, like I don't know how to set up the thing and get online money to pay for these things because I would have paid for it, but you know I don't have that, so we do illegal stuff.
Mm-hmm. Good. So, and persons reason it that way also. That as a developer, you give what is due to the developer, but um, like a poor person now, how do you expect a poor person to pay? So then persons might reason that this group of individuals are poor, so why can't you offer it to them for free? Like for instance, I was watching another video this morning, and apparently Google offers a certain part of Africa free internet. I think it's free internet. Hopefully, it's free if I remember correctly. But yeah, Google offers internet to a certain group of persons in Africa for free. So why can't developers offer software to persons who cannot afford it? Basically, um, but is there anything put in place for this kind of situation?
Not really, no.
You sure?
No, I don't think so. Other than what you just give, but
Have you ever heard of educational version of software? Educational license?
oh yeah.
Yeah, so that was put into place. So students can apply for educational license. So basically, as a student, some software what they allow you to do is to register with them as a student, and they would give you an educational version of that software. AutoCAD has that program. I think Microsoft Office has that program. Like if you're a school, you can apply for a school license, things like that. So you have school license, student license, and so on. So they know that these persons they might not be able to afford it, so they give them a student license. So some areas they have things in place for them. Now, are there any consequences to plagiarism, cybercrime, downloading all of these movies for free?
Um, yeah,
Such as,
me no. I never get any consequence.
oh, so you're acknowledging the fact that you take part in these activities.
I broke.
All right, so unethical behavior has serious consequences for both individual and organization. You can lose your job, reputation, organization can lose their credibility, general morale and productivity can decline, or the behavior can result in significant fine or financial loss. So it can affect both sides. It can affect you as the person, it can affect the developer. Developer is going to lose money. They might lose their morale, they might lose their productivity because they fed up with these persons always pirating. Like for example, anime developers. How are they going to make money if all the time you are watching anime for free? If you are reading your manga for free? If you are reading your manual for free? How are they making money?
For real, how they making money?
Do they?
I don't know.
So they're making, but not much because obviously persons can get access to these things for free. So they're not making as much as they could. So that could reduce their morale and make it. So that's why sometimes people just wonder why a manga doesn't get an anime adaptation. And it's simply because they might not make money. Because persons don't buy anime, hardly persons buy anime. A movie, why persons don't get into making movie? Because maybe sometime persons are just gonna pirate the movie. They don't gonna watch the movie. They don't go into the cinemas and watch the movie.
That is true.
Yeah, so that's one side of the consequence. The other side of the consequence is you as a person. So you as the person can be labeled as a person that is breaking the law. Like if, for instance, you do it on the job, you can affect your reputation at that job that you're pirating stuff. Your persons might look down upon you. They might wonder what else you're doing. If a government, or not sorry, a government, yeah, even if a government, if a business is doing these activities like they're pirating stuff and then they're just selling it back, then they can lose their credibility. They can lose their reputation as a company or as a business. So there's a lot of consequences for these unethical behaviors. Following so far?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No, not yet.
All right. So human rights online. Do we have any human rights online?
Yeah, I think.
So everyone has the right to seek, receive, impart information freely on the internet without censorship or other interference. Everyone also has the right to associate freely through and on the internet for social, political, cultural, and other purposes. So we have rights, just like how um, we have freedom of speech in the real world. On the internet, we also have freedom of speech, freedom to access information. But the question is, how do persons misuse this freedom of speech on the internet?
One way is bullying,
Right. So what do we call that?
cyberbullying.
Yes. So cyberbullying that comes about because persons say that how they have a freedom of speech, so they just say whatever they want on the internet, and that's how we end up with cyberbullying because they say that it's their device, it's their internet, it's their account. They're allowed to say what they want. They're allowed to comment what they want. They're allowed to post whatever they want. So even though other persons who are not supposed to be seeing what they're talking about might be inappropriate for them, they don't care. They just post it anyway. Like for instance, what has happened to Twitter, TikTok, and so on. Persons don't care. They claim that it's their account. They can do whatever they want. It's their freedom. But they're not taking into consideration whether it's appropriate for their audience. And they just post anything they feel like. So we get cyberbullying, we get hate speech, um, violation of privacy, many more things. Like yesterday, I was also watching another video, and this girl, she did gymnastics. Is that the right word? Gymnastics. Gymnastics. No.
Flexible person.
Yes, that kind of person. Um, I want the right word. Is she a gymnast? Is that the correct word? Gymnastics? What do you call the person?
A gymnast.
A gymnast is a person who trains and practices sports gymnastics. Good. Yeah, so apparently a girl, she was very good in gymnastics. And then she went on to TikTok and she started posting videos of everything that she does. And obviously, you can imagine what happened, right? So her account blew up. She got very popular. And apparently, every time she go in and practice now, um, obviously practice is at a big gymnasium with a lot of people there. And when she going to practice, when she going to do actual gymnastics, like hundreds of boys would just flock there as her fans. So she now basically has no privacy because they're following her accounts. They're all over her Instagram accounts, her TikTok account. They're following her in real life, taking pictures of her, taking videos of her, posting it. I think the video said they had to hire a personal bodyguard because of the amount of persons that were constantly following her. Yeah, so that's some other ethical issues with the internet, with digital media. That yes, you can become popular with social media, but at the same time, persons can use it to invade your privacy. Not really. Is it invading your privacy? Um, it's more like get too get
Talking.
yeah stalking. You're following your every movements, watching everything you're doing. So it's much more easier to do that today. Anybody who's stalking?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Ooh, okay. So you should know types of cybercrimes, right?
I think so.
I think yeah, we're doing a class on it the other day again. So let's take off bold. So email and internet fraud, identity theft, theft of financial and credit card data, corporate data, cyber extortion, ransomware attack, crypto jacking, cyber espionage, um, interfering with systems in a way to compromise the network. What do we call this here?
Um, Wait, they come into mind.
It's supposed to be in your
Interference.
mind.
Hacking? I don't know.
DOS,
DOS?
DDoS,
DDoS? I
denial of
no.
service.
Oh yeah. I can't remember that.
Aren't you guys supposed to know these things are IT?
No, we did that last year, but you see now. Do I remember last year's stuff?
Well, like if you don't have to remember it in a couple of months.
Well, we can see when the couple of months reach.
Hey, for describing All right, so we're gonna move on to social media use. That's page. What page is that? Page 24. Can you read that?
Social media use. Growing and causing major concerns amongst users of internet and digital media applications is the use of information and social media applications. With greater ease today, more digital content can be pushed to the world via the World Wide Web or WWW, and with the use of the internet. All social media applications depend on the internet for connectivity and sharing of content. The danger is how to remove something posted before others see, or how persons can grab content placed by you out there and manipulate it for their personal means. Users must therefore make better choices on the internet with what information they share, access, or store if one is to be considered practicing good digital citizenship.
Good. So, what is the ethical issue with social media?
Well, for one, I don't know if I can put this in proper sentences. Like if you post something that is like let's say, I don't know, just something that's not good, it can taint your reputation or you as a person. So like let's say you post this particular thing and you didn't think of it as anything, but like when you're going to get a job or anything, going to university, and they check your records and they see, oh, you post this thing, well then too bad, you can't get the job or you can't get get into the university because of that thing that you posted.
Good. So that's a good example. So persons can use what you post against you. But in this, in what the paragraph mentioned there specifically, so that's how social media can affect you negatively. But the ethical issue with social media now is that persons can track what you're doing. They can watch it, what you're doing, and use what you post against you. So, what organization and institutions do, you can't really say they're using it against you because they're basically using it to try to understand you as a person. Because obviously, they don't want persons who are employed or who attend in their institution to be of a certain characteristic. So it's like they have the right to know this information about you because they would have a standard that they want to upkeep. Now, the ethical issue we're looking at is that persons who do use it against you. So, like if you post a picture of you maybe on the beach and they go and take that picture and they do stuff with it, they reuse it, they post it on other social media platforms and so on. Um, they maybe edit it, they maybe modify it to look a different way. Yeah, so those are the ethical issues of social media basically. That persons can misuse what you are posting. They can manipulate it in a certain way. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it.
All right. So did he ever do that?
Eh? Sir, what are you talking about?
You just said you were stalked.
Oh no, no.
Okay. Hope not. All right. Plagiarism. You can read that paragraph.
Okay, plagiarism. This is considered a type of fraud. Plagiarism is stealing work produced by others and claiming it as your own or being deceitful about it. The act of plagiarism can be considered stealing ideas or content of information that does not belong to you.
Good. So we already looked at that, right? Um, What are three negative impacts of plagiarism?
You could lose your grades. Yeah.
Good. You can lose your grades. Can you lose your certificates? Think that's possible?
I just think, yeah, okay.
Technically, yeah. Technically.
Yeah, it is possible. And it has happened that years after a person finished their degree or diploma or whatever at the institution, and they realize that the person plagiarized or plagiarized, yeah, the person basically plagiarized, um, they took back the certificates from the person. So that's also possible.
That is so sad though.
So you can lose your grades, you can lose your certificates, you can lose your credibility as a person. So much things you can lose.
So basically, things just go downhill.
Yes. Um, what measures can be put in place to prevent plagiarism?
Oh, oh wait, are you going to say something? But that ain't making sense. So hold on. Let me rephrase it. Should like be warned about it? Like,
Hmm?
okay, repeat the question. Repeat the question first. Let me make sure.
How to address plagiarism? What can we do to put an end to it, put a stop to it, or even to minimize it?
Use Quillbot.
So use a paraphraser.
Yeah, make use of them. Don't just go and copy the bill and work.
We can do that. Good. So, um, is that? But is let me check it out.
Sorry, give me a second. I'm coming back.
Uh huh.
Yes, I am back.
That's fine. All right. So, the question I was just asking is if a paraphraser is illegal. So, well, you just mentioned the paraphrase, but the question now is it legal? So, notice they're saying here you can paraphrase, but you still need to credit the person. You still need to cite the person, cite the source where you got the information. Because if you don't, you're still plagiarizing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So going back to how can we address plagiarism?
The two things that go hand in hand is make sure that you don't put it word for word, and you need to credit them. You need to put some sort of citation, whether it be in text or in your bibliography section. Put the people them there. So
No, what I'm asking is like how can an institution, how can a school enforce, try to prevent it? What can they do?
I don't know, because the saints do that. The
No,
saint, exactly. I don't know.
but universities would. Um, they can put punishments. So you might lose credit or grade. Um, so like if they ever find you plagiarizing, they could lose some sort of credit, lose some sort of grade. Um, Maybe if they have a ranking system, you could lose rank. They have a rating system, you lose some sort of rating. They can put measures in place like that. Like if they find you doing something wrong, it's gonna affect you in a negative manner.
Question, right? What do you do? Like, I don't know if you've been in this situation before, but like if you're doing, like, you're checking somebody's SBA and you kind of run it through to make sure it's not plagiarized, but you find that it's plagiarized. What do you do there?
In my case, I tell them straight. It's the same thing I told y'all when you're doing your ITSB. I tell you straight that I'm not going to do anything about it because it's up to you to ensure that, because I am not the authorization body, I am not going to take away marks from you. I'm not the final person giving you a grade for CXC. CXC is the one doing that. So I tell you straight, I give you a warning. So I'm the middleman giving you the warning that look, if you're going to take somebody's SBA, and if you can take somebody's IA and use it as your own, and CXC finds out, I am not going to do you anything. If CXC finds out, I'm leaving it up to them to decide what they're going to do to you. So either they flag it or they don't flag it. They let it pass and you get your grade, or they do something about it. It's all up to them.
Oh, I see.
It's the same thing I told y'all when y'all were doing y'all program, because it always happens when you reach a program SBA. You always see persons trying to copy other persons, take other person's work, and things like that.
Oh yeah, we've definitely had that happening.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next paragraph, that is page 25, yeah. Consequences of unethical behavior, potential security threats, and vulnerabilities. You can read that one.
Okay. There is a growing concern about persons who behave unethically on the internet or use digital media to act unethical. The posting of information or the wrongful accessing of information or sharing is becoming some of the concerns that persons raise. With these or any unethical behaviors arising from the use of digital media or the internet, these can have serious impact on others and even on the person who carried them out. As such, behaviors must be regulated by laws, educational programs, and national policies or code of ethics if people are to have enjoying of freedom in the digital society we now must live. There are many potential threats when digital media applications are not wrongfully uh, accessed or when information gathered from the internet is used to bring harm to others. Such vulnerabilities include weak passwords, device logging of information, etc., has become very dangerous, and one must protect and safeguard themselves greater in an attempt to feel protected in the digital landscape we must live and operate in daily.
Good. So we know what are the unethical behaviors: taking somebody's photo, taking somebody's work, using it as their own, cyberbullying, things like that. But what can we put in place as an organization, as a person, as a country, as a government? What can they do to help to minimize it?
Laws and policies.
For example,
Um, with the whole terms that we use just now, the different ones with copyright and trademark and those kinds, those would help you to protect your stuff. We also would like take precautions. I suppose, like you know how when you're now signing into like a new application or whatever it may be, they will tell you put a strong password. And some most of them nowadays they have this little thing where they say, oh, it's a weak password. You add some more stuff. Oh, it's a good password now, and or they even Google advises you some random password that is very strong so that you don't get your stuff hacked and leaked and so on.
good. So you can educate these persons on how to use their device, how to use social media properly, and things like that. Um, the institution can set out laws as to how they're allowed to use the devices, how they're allowed to use their internet, and if they're ever found misusing it, they could be receiving some form of punishment. Maybe they're not allowed to use it. They're banned from it for maybe a week or a month or so on. Maybe they have to pay a fine. So the institution or the school, they could set out laws as to how you can use the lab, how you can use the internet. The government can set out laws and policies as to what you can search, what you cannot do, and so on. Like, for example, China and North Korea, they set out laws as to what their people can do on the internet and so on. So things like that can happen to prevent these unethical behavior. Um, Good. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
All right. Human rights online.
One's human rights is an acceptable privilege and standard that every human being is entitled to, regardless of their sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other personal status. The freedom that one is entitled to, the freedom to express one's opinion, the right for an education, and health care are some of these. As it relates to being online, we have a right to privacy and should only share information that we are most comfortable with. We are able to post information and express ourselves, including responses to what is posted in social media on the internet, but we must ensure that we are respectful and do not contribute more harm than good in our comments if we are truly practicing good digital citizenship.
So, what is our rights when it comes to online usage?
Isn't one freedom of speech?
Do we truly have freedom of speech?
Yes, but that comes with a responsibility.
hmm So, in addition to having freedom of speech, we also have the right to ensure that we are respectful of others. So, take into consideration the feelings of others. We have to post information and express ourselves. We must ensure that we are respectful. So that is our right to ensure we are respectful and do not contribute more harm than good in our comments. Like those persons on Facebook, like every time GPL just post that how they going and restore electricity. You ever go through those comments and see what those people been posting?
I saw this girl post a part of the comment section about last night, what happened last
Yeah.
night with Bakal, and I was so surprised. Like, things happen. Why y'all gotta be so mean?
Right. So yes, you got freedom of speech, but that doesn't give you the right to just post anything and comment anything and do whatever you feel like. It's not because it's your account. Is you can say and do whatever you feel like. That doesn't give you the right to do that. So that's the ethical issue we have with digital media. That's the things that basically happen on a daily basis. All right. So next we have freedom of speech.
Oh yes. Where's my mic? Oh my gosh. This is an entitlement that one has the right or the power to express oneself in an opinion or public statement without being censored or being told what to see, or without any restraint placed on what the person can see, or even without any penalty being imposed by state or lawmakers on the content of what is said. With the increasing use of the internet and digital media applications, we are able to now put just about anything online in an instance. Videos, images, audios, memes, etc., are common expression methods used by a person to share an opinion. We must ensure that though we have a right to freedom of speech, one must exercise or persons must be encouraged to exercise good moral values and characteristics leading to one being a good digital citizen.
So that's basically going back to what I was talking about with the GPL situation. That you still gotta respect the people as a business, as an organization. Like they don't have to have a Facebook account. They can just delete their whole Facebook account and just offer their service to you without you ever reaching out to them, and they would never know your feelings or thoughts. But the people still creating a Facebook account to give you updates and things like that, and that's how you're gonna react. So they're not using social media to the proper extent. And I think the government should really look into that. Because the government is only looking to like if somebody talk bad about one of the either the president or one of the ministers or some high official or some high person. They're only looking into that. But they're not looking into how people is react to other companies and institutions and so on.
Yeah, they should look into that. That's being very mean.
All right. So next we have right to privacy. Arima.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. What am I reading? Okay, right to privacy. With digital media and the internet, we must realize that privacy is very important. Privacy is considered any information or content that is considered personal and not intended for sharing to others or beyond those we wish to share content with. On the internet, we must practice and respect right to privacy of persons. It is not acceptable to take someone's profile picture and open a Facebook account or to share it with others, even though it is posted in an open space. We must remember the 10 commandments of the internet and computer ethics. I honestly didn't know that profile picture thing was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even though somebody posts something on their account and there's an open space that anybody could go and see it, we don't have the right to go and take that person's content, whether they post a picture, a video, whatever they might post. We don't have the right to go and take it and do whatever we want with it. So you can read the Ten Commandments.
Ten Commandments of Computer Ethics, written by the Computer Ethics Institute. Wow. Okay. 1. Thou shalt not use a computer to harm other people. Thou shalt not interfere with other people's computer work. Thou shalt not snoop around in other people's computer files. Thou shalt not use a computer to steal. Thou shalt not use a computer to bear false witness. Thou shalt not copy or use proprietary software for which you have not paid. Thou shalt not use other people's computer resources without authorization or proper compensation. Thou shalt not appropriate other people's intellectual output. Thou shalt think about the social consequences of the program you are writing or the system you are designing. Thou shalt always use a computer in ways that ensure consideration and respect for your fellow humans.
So, are you a follower of the Ten Commandments? What law have you broken so far?
Um, I don't think I broke any. No.
You don't think. You don't know if you have done them.
Probably, but I don't think I did any of these. Nah.
But the fact that you're not 100% sure is an indication.
No, it's number six, the proprietary software thing. Like I don't
Ah,
know. Did
yes,
I
you've broken number six, the sixth law of the Ten
wait
Commandments.
for real? But
Yes.
what did I use? Like I
Um,
don't even know.
I don't know.
Wow. Up
Anyway,
to this morning, I was trying to get some. I was trying to get like Microsoft OneNote on my Kindle, but it's not allowing me to. Just sad. And all the rest of things that I like want, like that are similar to OneNote, I gotta pay for, and I can't download the thing illegally. So sad.
yeah. Because Kindle doesn't have Play Store, so you won't get Play Store applications. So I doubt the Amazon store doesn't have all of the application like our Play Store has application. Remember, it's a whole different platform.
Yeah, but the thing is, right? I was you know how you can go into like the search engine and you go to the direct website of
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and you can download it from there. You choose whatever um operating system you have and you download it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like no, you can't do that. Like we can only open this thing in the app store. Like no, you can't go outside of the boundary. And I'm like,
Yeah,
well, that's
because
just sad.
they only develop OneNote for either Windows or Android. They haven't developed it for Fire OS.
That's very sad.
Yeah, because it you see the thing what people don't understand. Remember we talked about platform. Um,
Yeah,
the Fire OS platform was originally just for reading books, not for all these fancy things that y'all want. But because it's a cheap tablet, persons just run and go and buy it, not knowing that it's not a popular platform.
wow, wow.
I remember you gotta get developers who are interested in your platform to develop for your platform. Look, it's right here. Get OneNote mobile app. It is only available for Apple, Android, and Windows.
That's very sad.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about this though, right? Like I beg is bad because like you're supposed to read book on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you got pay for all and thing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, as a DM student, you should know that you have to pay for books.
Yeah, but like I thought, like how like I don't know, like they give you some free ones, like only certain ones are you got paid, right? But like some normal ones you just
Well,
just read it.
obviously, the good ones you would have to pay for them.
But like I don't mind reading bad ones too, but no, none
Okay,
of it available.
I wasn't talking about like that way.
No, I was saying like if the book is not like it's not a good book, it's like a bad book. Like it's poorly written. I
Mm,
don't mind. Like let me read it at least, see what's about. But no, you still have to pay for it.
yes, because people need to make money. They don't want you sponging off of them.
Not that's so sad. I thought this whole thing worked. Like when you buy the thing, it's like paid
No,
for.
no. You're only buying the device that allows you to access the service.
Oh well, I don't know. I didn't buy it.
Um, all right, so our last term for Objective 8, cybersecurity.
Okay, cybersecurity. This is an important consideration for operating in the digital world. This is currently referred to as the practice of protecting one's computers, servers, mobile devices, any electronic system, the computer networks we must interact with, or the data we share from malicious attacks mounted by persons doing it for personal gains. As such, one is encouraged to practice safety by taking steps to protect computer networking, data, and devices in our possession, or we are authorized to use from being targeted by intruders, including hackers, scammers, viruses, etc.
Yes. So basically, cybersecurity is the protection against cybercrime. So you're protecting all of your devices, you're protecting all of your network, you're protecting all of your data, everything that is on these devices on the network, you're protecting it so that you try to prevent any cybercrime, basically. All right, so that's it for Objective 8. Any questions on it?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
So next week we're going to start 9 and beyond. Any questions before we close?
No, sir.
All right, well, if no questions, that's it for today.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon.